But I would say like the biggest reason that we've had success in our partnerships is we're just very honest, like brutally honest with one another, the partnership, the expectations, and make sure that we're all chasing the same football. And I think with doing that, even like business dealings that we have with me and Mike, and then even his brother Dino in Texas, is it's always got to be good for both parties. Whatever you're willing to take, you should be willing to give up. And then just always being honest about every aspect.
Welcome back to the Money Seed Podcast. My guests tonight are Mike Merrigan and Bo Kort, two exceptional entrepreneurs. Mike and Bo, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Definitely been looking forward to it.
When I saw your bios and your backgrounds, I was blown away. Not only because you guys have built successful businesses, but because you guys have built successful businesses time and time again in completely different industries. So everyone at some point in their life dreams about starting a business, right? They say, you know what, it'd be so awesome if I built my own business, my own empire, etc. A lot of small businesses start out with the best of intentions. Like 5 years, most of them are not around, right? It is hard to build a business. It's hard to figure it all out, but somehow you guys have done it. Tell me, how did your journey start? Maybe we'll start with Mike first. When did you first realize, hey, I can do this. I got what it takes?
Honestly, I really don't have a memory going back to being a young child of not trying to make money. For some reason, I think sometimes people are hardwired a certain way, and then the rest is learned behavior or whatever. But I honestly don't have a memory of not trying to make money. Rather, it was just through bake sales, lemonade stands, collecting the pop bottles back when they paid you a deposit for them, to selling things door to door, knocking on doors back in the day when parents would let you run around selling your goods that we made. But after high school, I got together with my cousin and we opened our first video store together. So that was my first real business. After that, we opened up a small chain of video stores, went into laundromats, car washes, tanning salons. I'm in furniture now. Had 6 locations at one time. But my last job was when I was 18 years old. So I've always been in business. I've always taken it extremely seriously. And I've always just tried harder than anybody else, worked harder than anybody else, and always knew for whatever reason that customer service was going to be the key to my success. So you talk about all the different businesses we have. It basically starts with customer service in every single field we do. Like in our furniture business, I always say I want to provide an unbelievable furniture buying experience. We have over 40 different storage complexes. We try to be the best storage people we can be. We have multifamily. We have motorsports stores, Bo's building pools. So we've always, both of us, been in business forever. And I always knew one business wasn't going to work. And I knew that right away that, we had extremely successful video store, but I had big plans. So I knew one of anything was never going to work. And that's kind of how I still feel today. And the numbers that we added up and all the different businesses we own and, 150 different pieces of real estate, it just is, we're buy and hold guys. So we don't flip anything. We're not in for the short term. We graduated high school 4 miles from here. So, we're here. And if you're going to be in the same city and you're not going to be wandering around, you need to treat people really well. So that's always been the key to our success, I think. And just be able to work harder than anybody else. There's nothing I like better than working the businesses and building business. So then you turn around one day and you go, how much shit do we own?
Yeah, a lot.
It was never a plan. We don't like selling anything. So guess what? If you don't sell anything, guess what you have? A bunch of stuff.
And then when we were younger, you'd hear, be diversified. So we've said that before over the years because we've been best friends for 25 plus years. So it was always like, I got to be diversified. Well, now we do it to a fault. We're in everything. And it just...
Construction, pools.
Yeah. We're serial entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So Mike, you've been in video stores, laundromats, furniture, and now real estate. Bo, I think you started out with a bread distribution company.
Yes.
Then you did pools and you got a pool company. What blows me away when someone can excel in like numerous different industries and businesses is I hear this thing about the 10,000 hour rule, which I'm sure you've heard as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
People out there are saying, you got to spend 10,000 hours doing something before you're an expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't just go and open a pool business tomorrow. There's a lot to know about like swimming pools, right? How do you convince yourself that you know enough to go out there and compete and become successful?
Honestly, I think when you're younger, you have the assumption that you need to know every aspect of that business and understand how every aspect of it works and be an expert at it to be able to scale. But really, it's people. So I'm not going to be the best bookkeeper, so I'm going to hire a good bookkeeper. I'm not going to be the best, uh, whatever it might be, a concrete guy in a construction company. But I always hire the people that are experts in that field, and then I level them up. I allow them to grow within the company, and I don't feel like I need to know everything. Lots of times, as the boss or the owner of something, you feel like you need to know, and you do need to know every aspect of your company. But it's okay to not be the best at it and not be the best suited, and have someone that works for you and an employee that handles those things. And then whenever you find the employee that is just so good at it that he's not going to be an employee for long, and they got a little something special about him, then you end up finding a way to partner possibly with them, or end up, venturing off and doing something more with them. And I'd say that's been the
And
biggest
the
key.
thing is the 10,000 hour. I agree with that 100%. The 10,000 hours. As far as pools, he's got his 10,000 hours. Retail, there's no retail I can't step in. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's helicopters or you're selling retail. I can stand there and I'll be 20 minutes before you know, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll be able to sell you. So the thing is what we've done is the 10,000 hour rule. You don't have to have 10,000 hours. Just get good at something, learn business, and then you partner with a pool guy that has 10,000 hours, or you go to Houston Motorsports and you partner with a guy that has 10,000 hours in selling motorsports, or we go into a fab company with a couple of guys that have their 10,000 hours in. Everything we do, storage is one thing we started from scratch, but a lot of them are businesses we start with people that have their 10,000 hours. So the guys that have 10,000 hours, they might not know how to raise the money. They might not know how to negotiate a lease. They may not know how to finance equipment. They might not know how to handle their tax things because they got their 10,000 hours in there, how to work on fab stuff. So we come in and we only partner with great people. And so you got to be a good person. You got to be honest that, they're going to check us out. We're going to check them out. We build that relationship. And then we take your 10,000 hours and we go in business together. And I don't have to put in my 10,000 hours. So there's a hack, a cheat, call it whatever you want. But that's how we do it. And it's worked out well.
So Mike, here's when you guys are getting into a new industry or you're thinking about buying a business that exists already, how do you evaluate the opportunity?
First of all, you have to, first of all, you have to be able to make money in it, and you have to enjoy the people that you're going to be getting business with. And you have to enjoy and like what you're going to be doing. So there's a lot of businesses we won't get into, but if it's real estate related, guess what? It's real simple to put that, different, whether it's office warehouse or if it's multifamily or if it's storage, it's real estate. So all those things I just mentioned, those are businesses we would get into. If it's retail, there's not many retails that I wouldn't be able to get into. So he's got more of a creative mind. So guess what? When he's building pools, he builds $2 million pools because he's got a creative mind to design something that you can charge $2 million for. He'll build a $60,000 pool too. So my thought is you just got to like what you're doing, research, and don't do anything that you don't enjoy doing or that you don't love a little bit, so you got to be careful with that you don't end up with something. We coached someone here yesterday or today
this morning
that was getting into a business in a town that he couldn't say enough bad about, couldn't stand the city he was going to go to, and was wanting our advice on what to do. And I go, don't go. You already hate it. Your wife hates it. When it doesn't work, you're never going to want to get there. So you got to like what you do. You got to like who you're working with. You got to love the city you're in. There's a lot of things that have to go yes before you can go, guess what, I want to invest or open up.
And Bo, I think you took that pool business. I think you bought that business and then you were able to scale it, right? Yep. What was it about it when you first got into it that says, you know what, I see this operation here. I can double it, triple it. What was it? Where did you see that opportunity and say, yep, I can scale this?
I just like Mike says, I used to watch Mike whenever I was younger, and just getting finished up with school, and I saw him as an entrepreneur, and I would see the customer service and him and my dad were in the Rotary Club together, and so Mike was the youngest guy in Rotary Club, and one thing that I always noticed with Mike was he was always huge on customer service and what customer service can bring to a business. And I knew, being in the bread business, I thought there's no other business out there that I can imagine that you have to be on top of your game, and customer service is key, because I dealt with head chefs and they're kind of hotheads. And if you can make them happy, you can make anybody happy. And I knew that. And so getting into construction, the idealism around construction a lot of times is, oh, that dirtbag contractor doesn't do what he says he's going to do. He's overcharging me. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. Well, I knew that if I could take my philosophies and in scaling a bread company and dealing with chefs that are out of their minds sometimes to deal with, and I can make them happy, get them to like me, appreciate and respect me, that I knew that I could do that on the construction end. So I knew that if I brought those same philosophies of what it took to get up at 4:00 in the morning, the bread's got to get delivered every freaking day, no matter what happens, or you feel like there's a gun to your head and you're going to die. If I took those same philosophies to construction, I knew I could blow people away. And you're not selling $1 loaf of bread and making 25 cents. You're selling a $100,000 pool and making 15,000, 30,000, whatever, kind of margin you can make on it. That was the biggest draw for me is, okay, I'm done selling loaves of bread for $1. I'm going to start selling swimming pools for $100,000. So I knew with my customer service background that whether it was swimming pools or anything, I like high margin stuff, because with high margin stuff, there's good return.
Oh, you mentioned something a few minutes ago there that you get up at 4 a.m. As soon as people hear that you two have started over 40 companies in the last 8 years, one of the first questions is, where do you find the time? And before we answer that, how many hours do you work per day?
We don't call it work.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying, but honestly, I get up. I've gotten up at 4 o'clock in the morning since I was a kid. My parents were in the bread business, so that's just what we did. And then I jumped into the pool business, not realizing, okay, that's an early morning gig too, because we got to get up. We live in Arizona, so it's hot as hell out. So my guys got to get out in the field. So I meet with the guys early in the morning. But by midday, I don't know. I work probably 14 to 16 hours a day a lot of times. But like even tonight, it's not like I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, I got 14 hours in so far today. It doesn't feel like that to me. It's just like another day to me. Work is just like enjoyment of what most
golf.
people
When people golf, we work.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's a common theme you hear with a lot of successful entrepreneurs, right? You have to have passion for what you do. You have to like what you do, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or else the days just get unbearable. Yeah.
Like a lot of people too will tell us, hey, why are you guys working so hard? You don't need to do that anymore. Well, that wasn't the objective from the beginning, to just get to a certain point and stop. We're not doing it. We're not grinding every day to make as much money as we can so someday we can retire. No, we actually do enjoy doing what we do.
Yeah, I don't play the lottery because I wouldn't know what to do with it if I won it. I'd be in bigger deals. Everyone, hey, I won the lottery and didn't show up for work. Well, I won the lottery. I'm going to work the next day, and I'm going to my business, and then I'm going to expand it because I got a lot more money to expand it. So it's not about the money. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's a byproduct of what you do, right? I mean, you got to keep score, so there's money, but most people aren't doing it for the money. They're doing it because they love to be in business. I didn't have, if someone writes a song, sure, you could be a famous songwriter, but a lot of people are just home writing poems. You know what I mean? They're writing because they're writers. And so that's how I think an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is someone that was just hustling when they were 6, just like I was. And then it kept going, so you see someone banging on the pots and pans, you might be looking at the next Tommy Lee, right? They're not doing it to make a paycheck. Tommy Lee's not out there banging on drums because he thought he was going to get rich. He did it because he didn't do anything else but play music. So it's kind of that way with entrepreneurs, I think. And if you're faking it, you're not going to make it. That's that 90% that go out of business in the first 5 years. They're not going to make it because their heart wasn't in it.
They're there for the wrong reasons.
They're there for the wrong reason, to get rich. If you're going into business to get rich, most businesses, you don't get rich.
Let's get back to a little bit about starting a business or taking one over, etc. If you are speaking with somebody who is, let's say, at a point in their life where, work is not going that well, career is not panning out the way they had hoped, they're like, you know what, I want to try doing something on my own. Is there a particular type of business or industry that you would say, you know what, try this, or this you're going to have more success here? Or is it maybe like franchising? Or what do you think is a nice, safe way to get started with the entrepreneurial journey?
Well, my thought is, and I think Bo's going to agree, is start small, man. If you're working for TSA and you've got the bug, because you got to find out if you're just a guy that's watching us and everybody else. Now it's real popular to watch entrepreneurs, right? Before it was real popular to watch a different group of people, but now entrepreneurship, we feel a little bit like celebrities because everybody wants to open a business. But I would test the waters first, no matter who you are, because the hours he just said he's working, and then I'm working, and our team is here at 8 o'clock at night. You've got to have that discipline. So if you're not someone that someone already says, man, you're very disciplined, you're very persistent, you probably shouldn't get in business. Most people should not be in business. So test the waters to make sure that you are someone that's healthy enough, strong enough, have a spouse that will put up with those hours.
Yeah,
we have amazing, we're talking about our wives when driving back from Vegas, just meeting with Brad Lee. Hey, we have amazing wives that, guess what? When we're doing a podcast at 8 o'clock, nobody's calling us to see, why aren't you home? It's because this is what we do. If we were astronauts on the moon, no one's going to be, hey, when you coming home? I'm an astronaut. They're going to send me a ticker tape parade when I get home. All right. So you got to have a great spouse, man. You got to have a great person. So you need to make sure you got to check a lot of boxes. And if you're not healthy and taking care of yourself and you can't work 16 hours when it's need to be, you don't always have to, but you need to be able to do that. And if you don't, and you haven't been taking care of yourself, just stay at TSA. You're best off there. And then I can talk to you about investing in maybe a duplex or fourplex. And we do all that. We help a lot of people do that. But as far as owning a business, you need to be careful. You'll lose your uncle's money that you borrow. If you're not the right, I think you got to be a type A personality, ready to rock and roll, and no one's going to tell me no, and I can do anything. I think I can walk on water every single day when I leave the house. I don't try it because I'm sure I can't, but I think I can.
I'm sure that over the years, over the dozens and dozens of businesses that you've started, right? I'm sure you have had some missteps or some failures. How do you?
He's got a shitload of them. I don't have any. One single. Well, that's your job. Go ahead and take that from here. Take that from here.
So tell me, like, mindset wise, like, how do you move on? What do you learn from it? How do you get past it and keep going?
Honestly, like failure. One thing that we find that's common, like I said, Mike and I have known each other for a lot of years, but we didn't really become business partners until 2015. Yeah. We talked business. But it was always kind of like a big part of it was I was grinding and he was grinding.
We're busy.
Yeah, we were busy trying to figure it out, and I didn't want to bring him into my shit show, and he didn't want to bring me into his shit show because we were just trying to figure it out. And we had that never quit mentality. Yeah. So from the very beginning, like in the bread business, it was a grind. It probably wasn't the best business to get into at the price that I did. It wasn't something that I could scale like crazy.
In the area we're at.
In the area that we're at, but guess what? I learned a lot of lessons from the failures or the grind. Yes. And so that I knew in the next business not to do it. So, but what happens with a lot of people is they go, okay, I want to get into business and this and that. And then they have their story of why it didn't work or why they didn't do it. Well, if I would have taken that approach in my first business and just said, you know what, I ended up getting a job over at Walmart as being an assistant manager because the bread company, it just didn't work out, man. It was 14-hour days. And in the first year, I made $17,000 and I couldn't feed my family. So I'd love to be doing the entrepreneur things that like you're doing, but I just can't do it. I don't have that story because I wasn't willing to give up.
That's exactly it. We have had failures, and believe me, the mistakes we made are numerous, and we got to go on all day about that. But you've got to go in with the die-hard attitude, man, that you're taking the hill, you're taking Bunker Hill. Nobody is going to stop me. Yeah. And so if you don't have that, and then you get halfway up and you start slipping, you're gonna. You got to be willing to lay your life on the line for the business. And I mean, I literally think that way. I mean, you got to be willing to, and then you don't become part of the 90% that aren't there in 5 years. But if you're not part of that 10% that can make it the 5 years of hell, then it's tough. It is tough. I don't want to.
Failure is not an option.
Exactly.
I mean, and at the end of the day, okay, yes, you did. If you do fail or you have these pitfalls or whatnot, well, we didn't die.
Yeah, another day. Let's get going. So another business.
You know what I mean? So it's another day. We never went through bankruptcy. We never did any of those type of things. Never had to deal with that. Yeah. We always found a way around it. But there was a lot of times that I know he was broke.
Absolutely.
I was broke, just barely getting by, barely making payroll, just, asking creditors to hold off a little bit longer, give me a little bit more time. But all of those were just learning lessons.
Yeah.
It's something that I wouldn't change about my story to get to where I'm at today. Because I feel like a lot of my success and Mike's success would have never come without those failures or without those, those bumps in the road along the way.
Absolutely.
That's it. So I think what I'm hearing there is the mindset. You got to have determination. You got to be persistent. And the other thing that I think is super important that I keep hearing a lot is that it takes longer than people think. A lot of people have this idea that they're going to open a business and within 3 months, the cash will be rolling in. But in reality, you gotta grind for years and years.
Yes.
One thing I think that is we keep hearing, and we have an open office here. We're in a city of 60,000 people, whatever, but we graduated here. So we have local entrepreneurs coming in all the time, young and old. And it's a common thing that keeps happening is people thinking that they're behind. And I just want to touch on that because we have some young people that are kind of stressed out. And I think it goes back to the young girls when the internet first came out and people were photoshopping and they don't feel adequate because they're looking at something that's not realistic. So we got these young guys that are between 16 and 25 that we bring in or we talk to, or we just, and they feel miserable because they're watching some crazy guy drop a Lambo from a helicopter or some stupid thing on TV on the internet. Those aren't business people. Those are just stunt guys or whatever you want to call them, but they're mixing it up. So we don't have anything to get rich quick. Zero. Couldn't help you one single bit. You need to go on. But if you want to put in some time and you enjoy what you're doing, you got to be somewhere, right? So either be at TSA or working for yourself. I'd rather be working for myself. And so, but that's the thing. It's going to take time. And if you're 20, guess what? You're not behind. If you're 30, you're not behind. If you're 40, you're not behind. You're just getting going, man. You're just making it happen. What the life behind you wasn't worth anything? Yeah, it is. And the life in 40 is just going to get better, you know? So I don't know. Just don't stress so much on thinking that you need to get the Lambo to be successful. That's ridiculous. You know what it is? It's the freedom of knowing that nobody can tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Nobody. I go exactly. I do every single thing I want to do every single day. And there's so much freedom in that the thought of not having that is the reason I got into business. I just didn't want someone telling me what to do.
Yeah, I love that analogy, right? With girls looking at social media and feeling inadequate, because it's a perfect analogy to how people feel with business, especially when they look at social media. You don't know what to compare yourself to because you got this video on like TikTok or something. This guy has like, a Ferrari and a Lambo in his like 10,000 square foot mansion. And then like, you're like, why on earth would anyone try to compare themselves to that individual when they're like 16 and they're just starting their first business with their friend? I mean, it's completely bonkers, right?
And then later out, you find out it was a leased car that got repoed and it was a rental house that he never owned. I mean, let's be honest. It's a Photoshop photo of some lady that doesn't really look like that. So the thing is, it is rare. There are anomalies of young people that got extremely successful. My hat's off to them. But let's be, the fact that we're able to feed our families and enjoy a life that allows us to do what we want when we want, that's winning. And it's not about a bunch of dollars laying around or some kind of status you're getting to. You do it because you love it, and we love being in business and we love helping. Now that we've had some success, we love helping people get better in business or start their own business or real estate. We're big into real estate.
Yeah. Thing is like in us in business, and just as you're talking and saying that, there's never been a time where Mike and I chop up money and high five each other.
Never.
There's never a time where we get that, take that check from that project that we killed it on or take distributions or anything from a company. Right. I mean, to think of that, we never high-fived over any of that stuff. How many deals have we high-fived over?
Yeah. Getting good deals. Yeah.
Get a good deal. Pump. Another real estate move, another business, another acquisition, another partnership. We celebrate those like crazy. The money we rarely celebrate.
Yeah. It's not about that.
It comes.
It comes. That's a byproduct of what you do, So
that's it. Yeah. Just focus on doing something you like, something you're passionate about, and the money will come later. I think if you focus on the money first and try to make everything else fit, it's I don't know. I don't think that's a good way to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Bo, quick question for you is, you mentioned that you and Mike only started doing business together around 2015, right?
Yes.
They always say that when you have a partner, you really got to be careful. You choose your partner right. You divide the work properly and the responsibilities. What are some general tips you have when working with a friend, starting a business with a friend or a relative? How do you lay the ground rules? How do you divide the work?
Right from the beginning, I mean, and I get it. I mean, a lot of people are not as pro partnership as what Mike and I are, but I would say like the biggest reason that we've had success in our partnerships is we're just very honest, like brutally honest with one another, the partnership, the expectations, and make sure that we're all chasing the same football. And I think with doing that, even like business dealings that we have with me and Mike, and then even his brother Dino in Texas, is it's always got to be good for both parties. Whatever you're willing to take, you should be willing to give up. And then just always being honest about every aspect.
There's no secrets ever with any of our partnerships, any of our businesses or employees actually in the business. If someone's underperforming, I feel that we're open about it. We're willing to help them grow and scale and get better. And at the same time, if we're not doing our due diligence in a business, we're open to hear people out and make changes. So that all comes down to being self-aware as a partner, and also expecting our partners to be self-aware as well.
The other thing is I don't know any numbers or if anybody's ever put a number to it, but most people are running around with some sort of vice. Either they're drinking, they're smoking, they're treating their wife bad, or they're treating their kids bad, or they're stealing, or they're cheating, or they're doing something. So you got to know the person well enough. Let's say it's a family member and you're thinking, you already know if they're a hothead. You already know if they drink every single day. You already know if they're up to no good. So you got to make sure you're with a good person. And that's, I don't ever want to let Bo down. I don't want to ever let my brother down. So I live my life as though, guess what? Everyone's watching. I can't let anybody down. So I hold myself accountable. And I know Bo does it 100% the same way. And so you got to make sure you're with a good person. And if you've got vices and you're thinking about getting in business or real estate, work on those first, because your headspace it's going to take everything, all your brain power to be successful. So I think when you're looking for a partner, you got to make sure you're getting in bed with someone that's really a good person. My first business partner was my cousin, and he goes, he explained to me, I was 18 and my business opened up when we were 19. And he goes, from this day forward, we are married. If we break up, we're going to need a lawyer. And so it kind of hit me young like that. Go, oh, okay, I get that. Don't get in business with anybody you wouldn't marry. That mentality. You wouldn't just go marry someone because you went on the first date or the 10th date. You'd want to get to know them, make sure they don't have vices, make sure they have like-minded beliefs and things. So that's what is really important when you're looking for a partner. Make sure they're the same type of person. Otherwise, you see how many bad marriages there are. You don't want a bad partner because you're going to need a lawyer, and that gets expensive. One other story real quick is we have this other business partner that we, not a business partner, but we would partner with him, a good friend that's very successful, and he's got partners. And we were talking about some of this partnership thing, and his name's Josh, and he's a super good guy. He goes, I got rid of a partner. He goes, here's the deal. In every business, it's never 50-50. He goes, when you throw $11 down on the table, you got to be willing to take the 5 sometimes. He goes, I had a partner that's always took the 6. Always taking the 6. He left me the 5 every time. And he goes, after a while, he goes, I got tired of taking the 5. So we use that on each other. If I have to do something, I go, I guess I'll take the 5 on this one. But again, that's something that has stuck to in my mind for years. So someone throws $11 on the table and you're a 50-50 partner, you got to be willing to take the 5. Reach out there, just take the 5. And then don't bitch about it. Don't bring it up later. Hey, I took the 5 3 times in a row. Guess what, man?
Yep. But
you got to be willing to take the 5, and as a partner, you got to be willing to give up the 6 and back and forth. So.
And a lot of times we don't get caught up on the little shit either. Because so many times people want to prove a point rather than the objective is what's best for the company.
That's what's best.
So if I got to stand down and it's best for the company, and I feel like I kind of got stepped on a little bit, it's best for the company. I'm a partner of the company. So why not go with it? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people let their emotions get too tied up. And so then they put themselves before the company. And so Mike's always said that. And I feel the same way. It's always whatever's best for the company. That's
the right answer.
Well said.
When you can do that, it allows a company to scale.
Yeah.
Well said. And in terms of like working together, do you guys ever talk about, or are you aware of who has a strength in one area versus another? So if something comes up, would you say,
we totally know?
We'll both say, hey, Mike, you're better at this. You handle this one, or something like that.
That happens every day.
Oh,
every day. If we're negotiating something, he's a way better negotiator. Get in there, he'll pull a switcheroo on you, and but he's a really good negotiator. So we let him do this. But we are self-aware. That's another thing about being successful and looking for a partner.
Yeah, we do. The thing about it is it's rarely even talked about. We just kind of know, he's going to take the role on this. I'm going to take the role on that.
Yes.
Mike's very structured. And so he knows where he wants to be at in life and in business. And sometimes you're in the forest and I'm getting caught up because I'm in the forest and I'm going to end up hitting a few trees, where Mike is the type to stand back and go, okay, what did we get into this for? What's the objective, guys? We want to make money. We want to do this. We want to do that. And it's like, oh yeah. Oh, okay. I kind of lost focus a little bit because my head was in the trees a little bit too much. So
That's where Mike stands back and sees it from 10,000 feet to go, okay, hey, let's rally the troops back together. He's really good about that.
Awesome. You guys have recently started your own website. You guys are doing speaking engagements. You have a coaching. Tell me a little bit more about the speaking engagements and your coaching services.
Honestly, I feel like our speaking engagements we're pretty well versed. Obviously, like we said at the initial, we're diversified. We've always been diversified or had the objective to get diversified. Well, next thing you know, you get 20 years down the road and we're diversified. So we do bring a lot of value, whether it talks about real estate investing, wealth building, and running businesses. We feel that we're in about every industry out there, majority of them, from retail to construction to fabrication and real estate investing, commercial real estate investing, multifamily. So we've been asked quite a few times to talk to people. It kind of started in our own little hometown where we just constantly had people that knew that we were in business. And like Mike said, we went to high school here, so we know the majority of the town. If anybody had a business question, we're pretty open guys, so they come into our office. Well, once we realized how many people we were getting in our local community, we're like, that's a big world out there. Maybe we got something more to offer. And then we got Zach that came on and started pressing us to do social media and get the coaching stuff out there. So it really feels good. We're business entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs. It's just another aspect of that because we've got a great product, we feel, between Mike and I and the experience and the years. And we like to share. We like to see other people level up. And so this is an opportunity for us to do that. And might even make a couple bucks along the way. So be leveling people up to have some of the freedoms, or if they take our advice and get with that same mindset that we do, there's the opportunity for wealth and freedom like what we've experienced. And whenever you can experience or share good things, there's nothing better to feel, in your heart whenever you're able to share those type of things with people.
Building wealth is just like building a good healthy life. It's real simple, a little more exercise, eat better diet. But it's really hard to do, but it's simple. It's easy. And that's the way it is with building business or building wealth. It's really easy. Live below your means, take those profits, buy an asset that makes the positive cash flow and do it over and over again. But it's really hard to be disciplined. So it's super simple. There's no magic thing for anybody. I don't care from Jeff Bezos to the guy selling something on the side of the road. It's all the same. You just got to be a good person. You got to be disciplined. You got to be persistent, but there's nothing. You said you were starting an internet business, and that's probably one of the areas we don't know a lot about. We've never done that, but a lot of people are pitching things that, get rich quick or make money easy. And we drew the short straw. All of our businesses are hard.
I think it's really cool that you guys are giving back. So thanks very much for taking the time to jump on podcasts like this one and for starting a coaching program. If somebody wants to learn more about your coaching program, where can they get more info?
There's a couple different ways that you can do it. Actually, if you text us, you can actually just pick up your phone and text us at 928-605-4335. Another way is to DM us on Instagram. It's at Mike and Bo. So either one of those, again, shoot us a text. It's 928-605-4335, or Instagram. Again, it's Mike at Mike and Bo.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'll put those into the show notes. As we move toward wrapping this up, I'm really curious, what is the next step for you guys? It sounds like you guys have reached an incredible amount of success. You mentioned you're having fun, so you're not retiring anytime soon.
No,
what is the next step for you guys?
We just started a specialty service company that works in the refinery. So it's consists of a few semi trailers that, and again, we got together with had his 10,000 hours. It was a friend from another partnership in the motorsports that kicks off. And we just got our first PO, so that's our newest business, but it's called Kort Specialty Service. So
hopefully going to be doing some work for SpaceX, Tesla. Yes. Got some good connections with our partner that we ended up partnering up with from another company. Yeah. That referred him to us. But that's a big thing. And then the other thing for us is just doing bigger deals.
Yeah, we love real estate.
We love real estate. So that's just put another zero behind some of the deals that we're feeling more comfortable to do. And there's not a whole lot different. It's just another zero behind there. And we're enjoying taking on bigger deals, bigger rewards.
So you brought up real estate. It's funny. I never intended this show to be a real estate show, but I'm blown away by how many guests I have on this show who come on and say they love real estate. Now, you guys didn't strike me as real estate guys at the beginning, right? I mean, you started out with a bread business. You started out in retail. How did you stumble onto real estate?
Mike's got a great story for that. Yeah.
When we were in retail, I loved retail. I loved the instant gratification of helping a customer, getting the money, just bam, it all happened fast right then in that transaction. So I love that part of it. But one thing my brother and I noticed is whenever we were looking for another location, whether it was not a car wash, but a laundromat, a video store, we looked at ice cream. We looked at a lot of different things, and we were always in retail sites. And when the lease expired or they raised the rent or the business didn't work, I always look back and go, the only guy that's happy right now is the landlord, waiting for the next guy to come in. Hey, I got a good idea for that 4,000 square foot store. Hey, great, sign the lease. And so my brother and I realized, the guy that's happiest is the landlord. So we need to be landlords. And then we had one other old guy tell us, he goes, Mike, if you just bought one building a year, in 10 years, you'd have 10 buildings. And we're like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. So we blew past one building a year on the very first year. But and the thing is, we own almost every building we ever bought. So we're not the flip guys. We don't do the quick of anything. We buy them, we hang on to them, try to be unbelievable landlords, and we kept all those properties all these years. So now we have a bunch of cash flowing pieces of property. But it took years. It took years to put it together, and we just held on to them. So, fads come and go, but we never lost money in Bitcoin. We never lost money in flipping houses. We never did any of those things that people, hey, let's do this. Nah, let's just stick to this course here.
Bo, I love the story. I love what you've accomplished. And I love the fact that you're giving back and talking to people and sharing your story. I'll put all the links in the show notes. And thanks again for taking the time today.
Okay.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Money Seed Podcast. Please remember to click like and subscribe. It really helps spread the message to other investors, and it helps attract new viewers to the show. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much.